Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Twisted Koi, live on a Saturday night. We've decided that, Saturday's going to be the night to be. And I've got extra guests with me today. Very, very big warm welcome to my man, Chris Stubbs from Stubbs Aquatics over in Canada. And then we've got down in the corner there, our Matt from Howie Koi Dorset. And then below me is our man Scrag from Scrag68, aka the Scragster. So how are we doing on this glorious weekend? What you been up to this weekend, Chris?
I was just doing some tank cleaning. I wanted to get out to the ponds, but it's just shitty out there. It's about 8C and just drizzle and crap and I'll wait for tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be nicer.
Can't believe you ain't sung to him, Vince.
Say again, mate.
I can't believe you haven't sung to him yet.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, why would you say that? Why? Do you hate me that much? I'm not a bad person. Bloody hell.
But you have had a disaster as well, though, haven't you, Chris?
Say that again?
You have had a disaster, though, haven't you, with one of your fish tanks?
Yeah, the 125-gallon decided to leak at about sometime in the middle of the night, and I couldn't find out where the leak was coming from. Eventually, I found out. Of course, it was right at the bottom and all around. So I had quite a few gallons on the floor cleaning that up. I was still trying to get over the last disaster, that being all that ice disaster we had. That millions were without electricity for days and days. Some were still out, and that's 3 weeks ago.
Mate, that was a big storm you had, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, freezing rainstorm. Yeah, they're terrible.
Jigsy's in the comments, look.
Oh,
yeah, you spin me like that, Stubbs. I got to do it at least once.
You got it done and it's over with.
I thought you enjoyed that song, Stubbs.
I terribly hate that song. It's got to be the world's worst song, other than some kind of frou-frou wedding dance song. That's got to be the worst.
It reminds me back in the day, Vince, with the old slurp.
Yeah.
You always find something that somebody hates.
Oh yes, it's usually me.
It's like fingernails on a chalkboard.
Oh, bless you. So when do you intend starting your Shabumkin spawning this year then, Chris?
I think I'm going to give it a whirl instead of putting 2 or 3 males and 1 female. I think I might try hand spawning this year. Because I've got enough females. I'm limited to about 7 or 8 really good quality males.
Yeah.
And they're not as young as they used to be. you know our feeling, eh, Vince?
But are you going to be doing that inside? I'll
move. Hopefully, in about 2 weeks, I'll move the females all out to an IBC tank.
Yeah,
I'll get them conditioned with lots of live feed and then lots of sunlight. Got to get the sunlight hours up before they'll come in to spawn. And the males will only take probably a week, and they'll be ready to rock and roll.
So when you say
same thing with koi. I mean, we both bred koi. It's pretty much the same. They got to have their certain amount of sunlight hours, good quality, high protein food. I like to have lots of live food. I mean, it's the same that you guys go through, right?
Yes. So what live food are you feeding them then?
Me? They get a lot of earthworms. I'll actually set up a couple buckets for mosquito larvae to get a hold of and then dump them in. But you got to remember to dump them in every few days. Otherwise, you're going to be feeding mosquitoes yourself.
So did you not consider doing it indoors with the new pond that you've got downstairs, especially if you want to try hand spawning them?
No, I find the females, I mean, they're getting rather plump right now, but I'd rather do it all outside and raise the fry all outside because there's so much natural feed and it really cuts down on my cost. Because I feed them a lot of powdered krill, but that powdered krill is really expensive. I mean, you guys got to run into the same problem with the expense.
Yeah.
I mean, you're lucky you probably get a deal through Rick or, one of your other guys there. There's not too many deals other than I get all my koi food from selling my shabunkins. I've got my year's supply of koi food by selling my shabunkins.
Yeah, well, it makes more sense, doesn't it? If you use one to fuel the other.
I mean, I could breed my shabunkins. It's just, my koi, but I don't make any money.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be wasting my time. The only thing, I could do is try to improve the stock that I have. And so if they flock spawn, I'll take the fry out or the eggs out and see what I get. But selling them, I got a better chance of my hair growing back. And that's not happening. I mean, there's just not the market here, right? I mean, that's why I'm so jealous when I watch your videos. You guys go from one beautiful pond store to another, to another, to another. I'm going, holy shit, I'd have to drive across the country to see 2 or 3. Like quality ones, like you're showing me. I could go to one where I help out at Vandermeer's, and they're, a good 2 hours away from me. And then there's specialty stores in the city, which I call Toronto, or is Toronto. But they're who knows what they are. I mean, they could be Chinese, they can be, Indonesian.
Yeah.
Who knows where they're coming from? They're probably Israeli. The odds are, because they supply a lot of American spots, and then they're sold under a different name. But a lot of them are Israeli koi. Not that there's anything wrong with them. It's just it's nice to know where they're coming from because then you can judge what disease they're coming with.
Can you bring them in to Canada from all over the place then?
Yeah.
You have no restrictions?
No, as long as they all pass the tests and, that they've got all their med checks beforehand, and then they go into quarantine.
Oh, so it's not like Australia then?
No, you can have them anywhere in Canada, where Australia, there's only a couple states in that whole country. Yeah, that are allowed. Jen's from Mustang Koi. He's got some beautiful koi.
Yeah.
I was just talking to him today. So, yeah, he's got some great koi. It's a shame. I keep meaning to go down and right now all the carp are up feeding on the walleye and egg. And so there's hundreds of these 3 feet giant carp. And they're monsters. And you'd be going, because no one fishes for them here, really. I mean, you get one on your line, you cut your line because it's going to break your rod.
So, moving on. Matt, what have you been up to this week?
Just the usual bits that you would normally get up to. I still can't get over the amount of people that are building ponds. We've done close to probably 25, 30 box liners this week.
Mate. How many of them ponds are growing ponds?
Am I freezing out again, Vince?
Yeah. So how many of those are growing systems?
So how many of them are?
How many of those have been little growing system ponds?
I'm losing you, mate. I'm going to have to switch over. Give me 2 secs.
Right. Okay, we'll sort that out in a minute. What have you been up to this week then, Craig?
Phil come round this morning because I had to get a couple of fish out last weekend, and I just wanted a second opinion on one of them. You know, my Denichi show, he took a knock in the winter and took a few scales off.
Yeah.
And it wasn't healing. So I got it out last weekend, treated it, and I wanted a second opinion whether there was any dead scales or not, because I'm not up on that. And Phil come over, had a look. Scales seemed fine, so we treated it again, but spent more time on cleaning the wound and stuff and treating it. Got it back in. I'm just getting over fluke. I eat them with PP.
Yeah.
I done Learnex Pro full dose first day, half dose second day, half dose third day, and it appears that it's done the trick basically.
Sweet.
So they're all picking up now. And there was another. My King Dye shower got a bit of an ulcer under here, so we treated that.
Yeah.
I got that and treated that as well. So
yeah,
that should be
mouthful is always a bastard.
But
What did you treat the ulcer with?
Tamidine.
Sorry, say that again.
Tamidine.
Yeah, I don't think we can get that here.
Yeah.
Tamidine is basically an iodine based.
Yeah.
And I put ulcer swab on as well.
Did you do that before you put Tamidine in?
No. Is that the way round?
Yeah. You usually, if I'm doing something like that, I'll knock it out. I'll clean it with the ulcer swab.
Yeah.
Then I'd put me Tamidine or whatever it is I'm putting on, and then I'd put an adhesive powder over the top.
Yeah, I use that powder that you use, yeah.
Yeah, but your ulcer swab is basically the one you use for cleaning the wound.
Have you ever tried a PP paste on an ulcer?
PPK?
On the paste on an ulcer. Have you ever tried that?
I personally haven't, but I know of people that have in the past.
We done it
have
last year. We great success, yeah.
So again, I missed that, Craig.
Yeah, we used the PP paste last year with great success on one of our AIDS fish. Yeah.
Oh, right.
But yeah, we put them all back. Copey come round. He's excited for these fry.
Oh, mate.
He's really looking forward to it, to be fair.
I tell you what, I think both myself and Rich are really, really looking forward to it as well.
Yeah.
Because the amount of, and this is why I was asking Matt how many of those new liners were for growing on setups, because I know there's been a lot of systems made, especially for the growing show with a difference this year, which is absolutely mind-blowing just in itself.
Yeah.
You know, and to see that the eggs had started to hatch yesterday was even better. And for those that didn't catch the short, I did a short yesterday from the farm, and it is literally Rick's hand in the water, and it was just pure chance that he was putting his hand in to check the eggs, and this fry literally dropped straight out of the egg into the palm of his hand, and it was like, can you see it? Can you see it? And I was getting closer and closer. And that's why we did the short saying, but can you see it? And it is literally the tiniest of little black speck. But it was just pure coincidence that as he put his hand in, he saw it actually just pop out of the egg into his hand. Absolutely mind blowing. But yeah, knowing that we are hatching, yes, I'm getting super excited for it. But
Yeah.
one of the biggest hurdles is coming up, and that's getting them to that 4-week point.
Is that like the dangers? Once you pass that 4 week, is that like
Yeah,
you're past the danger zone basically?
yeah. If you can get them to 4 to 6 weeks, then after that you should pretty much good enough to go. I mean, over the years, when people have asked me for advice on growing fry, the first thing I ask is, one, have you done it before? And if they say no, then my first recommendation is you go for anything that's 6 weeks old and above, purely because it's not as intense as it is trying to raise 2-week-old unselected, because they're in two completely different ballparks. Can you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there's you've got the other side of it as well. Last year, we used 2 hardy varieties, being a Kajaku and a Kinshowa. So we knew we'd get a nice variety of different fish. But this year, not only are we going to be limited to a certain amount of fish that we're going to get out of that spawning, that being a Becco, a Haku, or a Sankey, because you ain't going to get anything else out of it. And you've got the other side of the coin as well. Raising Go Sankey at small sizes is still quite a lot of work. And a lot of that is because they are so temperamental, being Go Sankey. And a lot of the reason for that is because the Go Sankey variety is so interbred to get what's desired. It actually weakens the fish, which is why getting them to a decent toe size from the ground show with a difference is going to be a really good achievement. But like last year, we are going to see a wide variety of body shapes. For one, because we noticed it last year, there was a big difference between those that kept their fry heated, those that weren't heated, those that kept them on live food, those that didn't. And Rick could tell that just by looking at them from the pictures that were sent in. I'm slowly starting to pick bits up like that, but we're not doing metallics and we're not doing unusuals. We're doing Go Sankey, and we're doing Sankey of all bloody things, you know. So
Yeah.
it's going to be a test, not just for everyone else, but for myself and all the other koi keepers that have been in the game a little bit longer than, say, some that are entering. Because we've got a wide variety of entrants as well, from people that have been in the game for years, a few that have been in the game a couple of years. So it's going to be, again, really nice to see how different fish grow in different situations, different systems, and different feeding regimes and that as well. And it's really good because we've got the Telegram group, and I would say at least 80% of the people that are in the ground show with a difference have actually joined the group, and the banter has started already. And yeah, there is a bit of a competitive edge in the chat group. There is a bit of a competitive edge in the chat group, isn't there, Dave? Orchard Koi, you're not winning this year. But it's also, people are also asking for help. They're also asking for advice. They're also showing what their systems are that they're using. So it's nice because inside the community, we've also got this other little community that is slowly but surely growing.
Yeah.
We had a new member joined this week, and that was Al Mooring from Keith's Koi Haven, because due to health restrictions, he's not able to make it to the national this year as she planned.
Oh, that's a shame.
So we joined her into our Telegram group, and she's loving it at the moment. And like I say, people are welcome, but it's lovely. The amount of anticipation, as you say, for this growing show this year. You got the likes of Kopi's going to be in it. I'm going to be in it. There's God knows how many YouTubers involved. So there's going to be videos coming left, right, and centre. So yeah, exciting times. Really is exciting times. How are we doing, George? What have you been up to this week?
Oh, just working away, mate. Just working away. Just back for taking the daughter home and taking her shopping. So she moved out last weekend.
Oh, nice. Bit more peace and quiet.
No,
No.
no, the other two are fighting over a room each.
I don't know. How was the pond? Because you had a free willy the other week. How's that healing?
Not too good, mate, I don't think. So yesterday I sedated her and cut away all the dead skin.
Mm-hmm.
Put iodine and that on her. The pond's now been salted to 0.3%. So it's going to be like that for the next 2 weeks, then just gradually just filter change the salt out.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I can do, and fingers crossed she'll recover.
Are you salt bathing regularly?
No, the whole pond's salted to 0.3%.
Yeah, but if you give them a separate bath in a concentration, what you got to remember is salt is a natural disinfectant.
She wasn't coping with a salt bath, mate. Her kidneys weren't taking it. As soon as I put her in at the pond, she's been up swimming and feeding. So
What temperature are you sitting at now?
14.
Not too bad. It's not as cold as I expected it to be. What were you being up there in Scotland? I thought you were doing
I'm surprised. I'm surprised the last 2 weeks the pond has actually came up. But it's not been as cold at night, so I'm not dropping maybe 2 or 3 degrees. I'm maybe dropping maybe 1 or a half a degree at night. So it's starting to level up.
No, we're still getting frost down here at night sometimes, especially if it's on a clear night. But yeah,
we're not too bad.
I thought you was going to say around 12 degrees, which I thought would have been about right for this time of year for you up there.
No, we're in the middle of summer.
Oh yeah, we forgot. You don't get suntan up there, do you? You go rusty.
We get weather beaten, wind burn.
So, what are your koi plans for the next few weeks?
I'm just starting to get all the stuff together for a homemade batty shower or trickle tower, whatever folk want to call it. I'm just waiting on some ceramic media arriving for the bottom tray.
Yeah.
I've got my oyster shells for the middle, and I've got a big box of free pumice from my dad. So that's going on the top. So I'm just waiting on the ceramic coming, and the wee brackets my brother's making for me for the corners just to hold it in place. Then it's up and running. So everything's there. It's just the last wee bits and pieces, and that's it.
Don't talk to me about showers. You know I'm making this one for the Frankenstein pens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What have you broke?
Thursday night, sat there spending a bit of time with Susan, watching some telly. Thought I'd clean out these holes that I've been drilling in it for extra drainage. I did it in 2 fucking seconds and I almost took the tip of my finger off. That was Thursday night. This afternoon, the pickle's round and I'm putting the bulkhead on the exit, and literally, no word of a lie, I screwed into this finger. Literally, I was like, "Oh, you bastard!" Went to pull my hand away, and I couldn't because my fucking finger had actually literally screwed into my finger. I reversed it. I was like, "Ah!" Fucking two fingers.
You're some man.
Susan,
Yeah.
Susan reckons I should be banned.
That's why Rick just lets you hold the camera down the farm.
Mate, Friday was hilarious. Watching young Eden trying to get around in that silk. He was working with Rocket Boy on Wednesday, and literally when he come back up to the office, both me and Rick was like, "The fuck you been doing, rolling around in the silk?" Eden was bothered, and all they were doing was putting the net away. And literally, he was in the bottom of the pond with Rick, netting the fish out. But the thing is, I have got a bit of video, even though I don't usually video on a Friday. Rick says you got to do some video, and I'm glad I did, because when I finally put it together, there's all sorts of put it together for this video. But yeah, you'll see the state of both Rick and Aiden, because the pond we emptied Wednesday, or the pond we netted Wednesday, that was all full of mirror carp and common carp. Yeah, they don't like being in shallow bits of water. And that's all I'm going to say. And we managed to find, Dave's in the comments, Dave, we found 27 koi in that lake that weren't supposed to be there. All that was supposed to have been in that pond were mirrors and commons for the Angling Association. And I tell you, some of these mirror carp were bloody stunning. But yeah, in amongst them, we pulled out, well, say 25 and 2 ghosties. But yeah, 25 this side koi that weren't supposed to have been in there. But yeah, you'll see both Rick and Eden absolutely plastered. And I don't think Eden, so I was telling him the truth that, you know, once you take water out of a pond, walking around in that silk becomes fucking difficult. Ain't that right, Matt?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Honest to God. Once you take that water out and you're up to your knees in silk, the suction on it is unreal. Absolutely unreal.
Yeah,
Which was
last year I went down to the lake and I dumped all the water out of it and cleaned it all out. And I was in my waders, got halfway across the pond, and literally my waders were stuck in there and I could not move. And of course, you're in basically a lake in the middle of it with nobody to help, and it's like, how the shit am I going to get out of it?
No. It's like when we go fishing along over the marshlands. If you stop for too long, your feet sink right through into the moss into the thingy, and you take the next step, you've either lost your boot or you've lost your wellies. It's just the same.
I mean, I've had quite a few conversations with Sean, and there was one year they were emptying one of the ponds, and his ex-wife at the time was pregnant, and she ended up getting stuck out in the middle of one of the mud ponds, and they ended up having to pull her out with the tractor. Honestly, the other week when Rick got stuck in the silk, he was on the verge of going, I'm going to get out of these and just climb across it in my fucking clothes. Because in the end, I found a plank. Got a plank down so I could teeter across and grab hold of him. And we managed to break the suction. But yeah, he was on the verge of saying, fuck it, I'm leaving my waders there and crawling out and getting filthy. Stuff's fucking lethal. And it stinks to high heaven. mate. You get the four of us together, and it's absolute chaos.
I was going to say.
That's Andrew saying. I think Matt should spend a day at New Forest Koi during the live. Him and Rick would be a scream. Like I say, get all four of us together, and it's fucking chaos, isn't it, Matthias?
It would be insane. It's something that you probably didn't want to actually see or imagine seeing.
Isn't it?
Yeah, Rick came over last Saturday night, and we had a few sherbets, and it was good.
Yeah, but you had a few sherbets, but no one saw it.
And I can't remember it.
Yeah,
No, what we can't remember is what Rick done to him.
No, I think the best
What you can't remember is who wore the mask.
Yeah, it was funny though because I had one of the filters on one of the tanks down the bottom playing up and tripping out the power. We worked out what it was, but of course you're paranoid because all the tanks at the moment are heavily stocked, and you don't want the power going out on them overnight or on one of them.
No.
I managed to rig it, but I didn't realise that Rich was going to go to bed and be paranoid about it as well. And at 3 o'clock in the morning, he's getting up and looking out the bedroom window to make sure he can see the power's on. Yeah, that's the sort of guy he is.
Yep. He is an absolute legend. Yeah, we're going to have chaos on the motorway tomorrow because he's picking me up in the morning.
You going out to see Crafty?
Oh, I'm going to Perfectly Crafty.
He's actually just messaged me to say, can he come on?
Why not?
Let me ping him.
So, Chris, have you moved all your crebensis into the one tank yet?
Sorry, say again.
Chris, have you moved all your crebensis into the tank yet from the fry-in?
Yeah.
Yeah, but did you move them before or after you changed your filter?
I moved all the fry from 2 tanks actually. They're in one. Plus, I've got another separate of those with just a few week old fry in there. And then when I did that video on a DIY filter using a fry holder, and then got corrected about where I should put my biomedia at the end. I won't say your name, Vince, but it was you. And it's got to be one of the first comments, right? You know, shit. And he's right. And I hate to say he's right, but yeah, he was right. I was just worried about, I thought it'd break down a little quicker in there, but you're right. It would get clogged. So it's better this way than water running on my floor. So I hate to say it. You're right.
How long did it take you before Vince commented? Because I was thinking that
right away
as you were building it.
You know what? I'll go and change it right now. Otherwise, I'll start friggin' singing. So, I mean, you got to take the less of two evils, right?
Yeah.
It's spin me round or listen to him go round and round and round the same subject. So.
Hey mate, well, would you rather I let you know, or would you rather get roasted in the comments?
Oh, I'd rather you let me know. I mean, it wouldn't have been a horrible filter, but it makes more sense this way. So, I never claimed to be, a total rocket scientist or anything. I'm still learning as I go along, even though I've been in the hobby for 50 years. But I have to admit, when it comes to DIY filters, you're the king. I remember your uplift filter in your pond in your front yard. You remember? Yeah. And I went, okay, that's smart. I like it. I don't like the noise, but I like how it works. So I went, well, this should work that way. So,
Well, thank you very much.
well, you delete these conversations, right?
No. You all ready for tomorrow?
Good evening, Vince.
I
Chris,
said,
George,
are you all ready for tomorrow?
fuck how we score. Yeah, I think so, mate. I wanted to come on to invite you up, but I think Rick's already given you the invite. I didn't know whether or not he'd spoke to you.
He's picking me up at 8.
Good. So I'll have your presence, yeah?
You will have my presence at Perfect Aquatics tomorrow, yes.
No. So I'm going to gift you a fish if you want it. All right, as an apology to you because you felt the way that you did after what I said, right? Because I didn't want you to do that one. That's all.
Hey, Crafty, I always feel like that when I speak to you, so I think I need a gift.
All I hear from you, mate, is white noise.
Yeah. The thing is, your gift is just going to be some Vaseline. You're just not going to get it dry this time.
Got a bit of PP in it, mate.
Oof.
Mate,
You're
thank you.
very welcome. I didn't want there to be any bad blood between us, Vince, because
Yeah, mate.
like what I said. You know,
That's nice, that is. That fair play to you, Crafty. That's nice. Nice.
I wasn't trying to insult
Not
you.
make you fucking cry. That's what it was.
No, not at all. I wasn't trying to insult you. So
No, I know.
I didn't publicly flog you like that, mate. So you know.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
I don't know if Rick told you. I said to Rick that I wanted to, if you was coming up, that I'd gift you a fish.
No, he didn't.
Okay, so you know,
No, he didn't. He just asked me if I was coming, and
that's good. I'm glad you are. It'd be nice.
I just responded to him. Well, what time do you want me ready? So
Yeah, make sure you got your best gilet on, waistcoat.
I can't believe, Crafty, that you're going to give him your yellow monkey.
oh yeah.
Well, I had to treat for trick in the main pond today, so they had a massive. I hit them really hard on PP treatment today, and that wards, mate. They was wobbly, man. So it was a bit squeaky bum time because there's a lot of money's worth of fish in that pond.
Yeah, isn't there just?
And yeah, it's a bit squeaky bum time. So I've done a proper dealer, what I call a dealer dose, not a hobbyist dose. And my boss, the owner, he wouldn't come and have a look at the fish just in case they rolled. So
You can't blame him, mate.
no, but you know that's on me, mate. At the end of the day, it's they were struggling. The Tancho Sankey I had, I don't know why. There seems to have been we got it quite hard on fluke, and then managed to get everything through that, and then we got hit really hard on trick as well. You know, it had trick like I've never seen before. Actually, you know, even in the shop, it's a big fish, so they coat quite well, but it weren't looking. It was looking a little bit stressed out, so I give it a scrape on Friday around 5 o'clock when I started to notice it. Too late to do anything then, you know.
Yeah.
So it's right. I do it first thing. So I just boiled up a good dose of PP overnight, bubbling away, and then hit the 2 big doses today. So I went out to the pond about 5:30, and all the fish were like slow motion. Because I don't like to use PP. I don't like to use hydrogen peroxide. I like it to run it full course. But I ain't gonna lie, I had to put PP in. Hydrogen peroxide in. Yeah. And then they started to get a little bit better. So I'm just hoping that they're not too fucked for tomorrow.
Yeah. So it's a question for you. Have you ever had parasites in the big pond that's out in the golf course.
Yeah.
Ouch.
It's a pain in the arse, mate. The one that so now that now has got some big lumps in it, but trying to get them fish, it's just impossible. It's impossible. I've had people in the pond trying to net them. You know, I can't get in because I'm fat, so you know we sink to the bottom quicker. So yeah, I've had people in the pond trying to shimmy them across, and trying to get hold of them is not good. And the heron, we live about, well, the shop is about 3 miles from a heron sanctuary, a new heron sanctuary that was put up last year.
Oh, lovely.
So we get frequented by the long-legged, beautiful grey heron that everyone loves. And some of the big koi have actually got little stab wounds in the back of their neck where it's had a bit of a go. But trying to get hold of them is hard work. But you know, so you know when they're not well. You know, everyone knows when they're fishing well, right? You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's a question of what is it? You know, trying to get a fish to do a scrape is really hard work in that big water. It's really hard
because it's a big pond. That's what I say. Out.
Yeah, you'll see tomorrow when you get up there, mate. I mean, if I'm honest, the filtration system's not set up the best there.
Why is that?
It's on a drum, but it's pump fed. But the way that I wanted it done didn't get done that way by the guys. The guys that built the golf course, you know, nothing against them. They are from South Africa, the guys that done it. And they done a real good job of getting things in. But then when they put the drains in, they pulled. I wasn't about. I was on when they done this. I was on a week's holiday, so they pulled 4-inch bottom drain, 4-inch tubes up. But I wanted it gravity fed. So they pulled the pipes all the way through. By that point, we'd basically concreted on concrete. You know, so we pulled.
Yeah.
You know, for the bottom drains. So at that point, it was done. You know, it was all locked in. So we've got pumps below the water's height. But the pull on them so powerful that the drum constantly goes into overclean. So what I have to do every day is switch the drain for the pump, which one's used to pull from different sides.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is that you just can't get a real good constant flow. So what I wanted it to was actually what the plan was before they knackered up how it got put together was I bought a double air source heat pump, like double decker. So we would actually heat that, cover it, and then use it as like when the first shipment from Japan comes in the February, once they're quarantined, is actually introduce, you know, 300 toes high into that pond, let everybody pay to feed the fish, grow them on, and then at the end of the year drain it and do an auction at the side. But herons didn't help, and the air source heat pump didn't go on, you know, just because of that flaw, basically.
Yeah.
But never mind, still got some nice big fat fish in there.
Well, it gives you a nice double decker air source heat somewhere else, then, doesn't it?
Well, we got, you know, because it's not actually inside the establishment and it's part of something else, i.e., we don't sell from it, we don't, you know, do anything other than, you know, have fish swimming in it, and it's actually for, you know, kids and families love it. They're not there. They just see koi and fish, you know. It's not something, and because it's quite open, you know, I wouldn't want to put expensive koi in there because there's a lot of people with bandy nets that like to come and help themselves, so to speak. So, you know, it's not 100% secure. But a couple of my customers that, you know, have gone through that whole process of growing their fish big, they're moving into the next step of the hobby. They've donated a couple of fish into that, and they can then come and still see their fish, You know, it's like
Yeah.
He doesn't. He doesn't encroach into the biosecurity rule because it doesn't come inside the store. So, you know,
Right.
a couple of lads, I'll have a look and say, yeah, they're all right, you can put them in.
Oh, that's all right. Okay. Those correspondence just pretty well. You know, you've made it when people are watching YouTube in the pub.
That's Paul. That's Paul.
Yeah, that's my man Moses. Shame is he hasn't built a church for his new pond.
No, not yet. But the greenhouse is nice.
Oh, the greenhouse looks banging, doesn't it?
Did you see the question by Susan, by the way, about koi rubbing their mouths on the bottom? I didn't know if they were rooting or if she's got some bacterial issue. She says there's no sores.
There's no sores.
No.
Then
I can't think of anything unless they're rooting through, you know, detritus, debris, silt, whatever they could find at the bottom, right? Because they're carp, they're rooters.
Yeah, and that was what I was thinking, because they're on the bottom. You might actually find things and what they're blazing off of the algae that you've got on your pond floor.
You said they're also flashing around the gill area.
Yeah. Then I'd be treating them real quick.
You got a microscope, Susan? Because in all honesty, without taking a microscope and checking under a microscope, we could give you so many different answers.
Yeah.
But without actually pinpointing, if you have got microscope, great. Then I would do a couple of microscopes, and then hopefully you might find the cause. Anyone else?
Have you got a clear? It's hard to explain. If you've got an empty pond, i.e., you've got no plants in there or any silt on the bottom, or is it a normal sort of concrete pond like we have over here? Because if you've got silt and they're rubbing their mouth through it, I think they're rooting more than anything.
Yeah.
You know, for them to.
Well, she says they've. I'm
sort of imagining that you're saying they're sort of rubbing like this through. There's nothing really that sort of behaviour doesn't come from sick fish, really.
No,
that was my thoughts. Matt?
Yeah, if it's always around the mouth, then yeah, potentially. Without knowing the fish, without doing the scrape, it's hard to say.
Yeah, and I know sometimes you can get microscope blind, if that makes any sense, where you're just looking at scrape over scrape over scrape. And Dave had it the other week. He scraped and scraped and scraped, and he said to me, "I've still got something in there." I said, "Scrape again." And he scraped again, and then he finally found lots of it. Sometimes you really, really do have to be methodical until you get. And Ryan's koi pond saying, "Scrape 4 fish, took the advice from 30 Live, and boom, got flukes."
Yeah, that's like pain in the ass.
But they are rubbing like they're irritated. Without actually seeing them or seeing it, can't really say much more than that, personally. What are you laughing at?
It tickled me from Steelman. Please don't take offence. Has anyone found flukes in tap water? It's like, I've never ever looked for flukes in tap water. it just tickled me because I don't think I'd like to put tap water under a microscope.
No, I don't think flicks like chlorine too much.
No,
I would hope the chlorine would kill them.
Yeah, you got
Imagine if you did and fuck me there while I'm drinking flukes.
yeah, plenty in the comments. Coxos found white spots today.
Ouch, yeah. That's an easy white spot piece of piss to get rid of, isn't it?
Welcome to the season. The season has started.
Yeah, I wish I had white. I wish, not me personally, but I wish I only found white spot. White spot's easy to treat, man. It's all the others.
Yeah, a couple of doses of malachite formalin. Job done.
Yeah, if you have access to formalin. No.
Well, yeah, there is that. You're not able to access that over in Canada, are you?
We used to be able to. Not now.
Mm-hmm.
Now I can only get access basically to PP, and I get that at a water treatment facility, and I can pick up a huge jug for under $100, and that'll last me 5-6 years or more.
No, it's all right. It's something to come off on here. I reckon. Just sorry, Chris. Ignore me.
It's amazing that different countries you can buy different stuff. Like I know in Canada you can buy weed treatment to kill off all your weed in your pond, but you can't buy it here in the UK. But we can buy formalin in the UK, but you can't buy formalin in Canada.
Yeah, whatever government dreams up some of these things, like they're afraid that if we use anything with the antibiotics, that'll get into the water system, right? So, and then formalin, well, that's formaldehyde. So, I don't know why they're so worried about it here. I mean, where they take the intake for their water is it passes by 2 graveyards. So I don't know why they're worried about formalin. I could be pickled for life.
Paul, what scares you about TP?
It gets out of hand, probably.
Colour.
It's always the way you get 1 or 2 people comment on one of the forums saying that PP's killed all my fish, it's deadly stuff. It's no different to any of the medications. If you use it in wrong quantities, it's going to kill your fish.
Yep.
Well,
So just make sure you follow the instructions or guidance from someone that knows what they're talking about, and you'll be fine. It's not that bad. And the beauty of PP is that you have got hydrogen peroxide as a backup if it does start going bad.
Yeah.
That's the thing, it's going bad, so you just lump that in and it should bring them round. So as long as you've got that on hand.
Am I right in thinking this new pond detox stuff is supposed to be able to get rid of people as well?
Yep. There was a question, I think, on your channel last week, Vince, which was how long it's effective in the water before medication or something along them lines.
Oh, the pond detox stuff.
Yeah. The answer to the question is 7 days. Okay. So, but the real answer to the question is 7 days, do a filter clean, try and get a water change done to take as much out of it as you can, and treat your fish. Like, don't not treat fish just because that's been in there, yeah? You have to think a little bit logically about it. Remove some water, not all of the water, a good water change, put your treatment in, and then revisit your fish 2 days later to see whether or not it's been affected. And then it looks potentially double dosing eventually, i.e. 2 days, not at the same time, but probably an extra dose in order to hit your problem if required. All right. The real answer is don't not treat your fish because you've got detox in your pond. But it is supposed to stay effective for 7 days.
Yeah, but even if it's sort of like 5 days after you've done your pin detox, surely whatever treatment you put in, if it does water it down, it's not going to water it down by much, is it?
No, that's the thing. That's why. But the scary thought is that I'm not saying that anyone would do this, but the thought's there. It's like, oh, I've got detox in, I can't treat the pond. So rather than always look at how you get the treatment done before not doing it. It's but yeah, I can't imagine. As long as you give it a good filter clean, you'll get as much of it out of the system as you possibly can because it's fluctuant as well. So no, it's worth having.
Well, I've had a pot of the other one.
Paul Reynolds.
That's the one.
What, the detox treatment from Lincolnshire Health?
Yeah. Yeah, the old lady picked me one up down to the koi pit. I've used it in the Frankenstein pond, and it's definitely done something because it's helped them settle down. That's it.
I think the other thing around that, mate, is having an understanding of how you use it or what you're using it for. I think if you're using it to create a better water chemistry for your pond, i.e. taking out metals and stuff like that, then it will work. All right, as a sticking plaster. All right, but notice I say a sticking plaster. All right. Instructions on the baggage, use it once a week, whatever the dosage is on that. It does everything that a clay can do, all right, but with additives in there. So is it a replacement for clay? I don't think so. But what it does do is if for instance, right, so latter part of last year, my water board in their infinite wisdom decided to really scream the chloramine dose up and fuck me, man, did that smash my fish to bits. Jumping through hoops to try and work out what's going on, losing a couple of fish to only then get a water report back from Andy Finch to say chloramine screams red, basically through the roof. Put that in and straight away it helps with the pond. All right. The next thing is, do I just carry on adding that, or do I look at another way in order to solve the problem? So for a sticking plaster, it's been an excellent job. It's how you use it that I think counts. With things like staining on water for feeding as well, when you get tea color, like tea staining from some growing foods, for example, right?
Yep.
It can actually help with that as well. So it's not a magical cure for everything. And actually, the other bit that people haven't thought about is that water chemistry across the whole country is completely different. So different uses in different ponds for different reasons. And that's what I think makes it really quite a good product on the market. Is it something that replaces clay? I don't think so, personally, but it has that ability. It clears our pond water up if and when we use it in the shop, because we got some ponds that just won't clear. Put some in, next day it looks perfectly good. Some ponds not so good. It all depends on your own pond, that stuff. But it's a good product. But we used to use Paula Reynolds stuff as well. But again, nobody knows what's in that in either of them.
No, because I've tried looking at the label.
Right, but what I will say is this: do you really know? Do you need to know? Do you need to know what it does, what it says it does on the tin? And if it does do that, does it really matter?
No, but there is the other side of human nature that needs to know. Can you see what I mean?
But if you don't need to legally put it on a packet, Lincolnshire Fish Health didn't.
No.
You know, do we really need to know? I don't think so. You know, how many people look into what's in potassium permanganate? Nobody. They just know what it is.
Yeah.
It's no different, in my opinion.
Do you not think that's part of the reason why people are so, what's the word, unaccepting of it?
Okay, right. So let me run some figures, right? Let me run some figures, right? Just my shop alone, we sell on average 4 bags of that a day, online only. It is by far the best-selling product on my internet site. It is, honest to God, night. I mean, what's really good is that there's only 5 or 6 shops that stock it, right?
Yeah.
So I get to see a lot more where it's going. And I'm not the top seller of it. So fuck knows what other people are doing that do stock it.
Do you think that a lot of people are turning to it to and in a degree aid their filtration just by using that
Yes, I do.
instead of improving their filtration?
And this is
they're
what I'm
using
saying.
that instead.
Exactly what I'm saying, Vince, right? So sticking plaster. All right. Do you use that as a sticking plaster every single week in your pond to dilute metals that potentially in your pond? Or do you spend a shit ton of money on a pre-filtration system, right, that does the same job? Not everybody has got that a massive outlay to be able to do like a 4-tier like pre-filtration system or a carbon block or that sort of thing. So for them people, it's a good thing. If you can, for me, I think it's a good sticking plaster. For example, if you've got that pre-filtration system that then you need to change your carbon, but you're still waiting for that part to come, and you run a drum where you've got a constant trickling in, whack some of that in, right? And it stops that irritation happening to your fish. And what I don't know if you've seen it, but Andy Finch done tests on this product with different water sources, right? With ammonia, with copper, etc. Run a test, added it, tested again, and it did strip all of that stuff out of it. So it does do what it says on the tin. It's just, I think, the guidance out there or the use of it is where it makes either a difference or whether it's a necessity. That's, you know, am I making sense in what I'm saying?
Yeah, because I mean, like I say, ultimately, if your filter system is running correctly, by rights, you shouldn't need it. Can you see what I mean?
But this is what I'm saying. In different areas of the country, like where I am, when the chloromimes go through the fucking roof without your knowledge, it's a sticking plaster. I can double dose in that. If it has that desired effect, then something's worked, and that's a benefit. Right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
But if you go up north or into Wales where the water's very soft, all right, or you don't have all them additives. So my water report comes back with 4 A4 sheets full of additives. It's like you can only strip some of that out. Do you know what I mean? And if this stuff helps with that, then it is a necessity if it makes your pond better. Right. But how do you test it? Your fish will tell you if it works or not. If you're seeing a difference, if it's a benefit. It's like clay. Some people don't use clay at all. Some people say it's not worth it. Me personally, I think adding clay to your own pond, my God, my water when I add it, it sparkles and it looks amazing. Right. So, you know, but not in Wales, right? They don't have that same flat coloured water as what I have. So therefore, is that a necessity in Wales? No, I don't think so. You know, but again, if you feed a lot and you've got a heavy stock and then fish are really sucking up that mineral and really pulling all the goodness out of the water, then clay is a good additive because it puts it back in. You know, it all depends how you use it and what you're using it for. You know, and I think that's knowledge. Rather than saying it's good, it's bad, I think you have to have an understanding of who's using it and how they're using it in order to give the right advice.
Yeah, well, you got friends that it's good for use after a treatment.
Okay, in what capacity?
And I think that one is directed to you.
It's such a Google answer, mate. No one really cares what MnO2 is. You know, people don't even understand what potassium permanganate does. They don't understand the I can't even say it. The
Oxidization. Oxidization.
You know, they don't understand what hydrogen peroxide does. They don't even understand what when you had hydrogen peroxide that it stays in your water for 3 days as a bleaching agent.
Yep.
So you know there's so much. And I don't want to come across. I always feel like I'm coming across quite arrogant. I'm not. For me, it's about having an understanding and knowledge before an opinion.
Ryan Quaypond had a question about if you could use salt and PP at the same time.
Yes.
And I think I know my answer, but
A low dosage of salt is okay. Low dosage.
Yeah.
I mean, I've salted first, then waited a couple of days, and then used PP.
Yeah, it's got to be a low saltage dose. You know.
Yeah, Susan said, I use clay. Do you think it's irritating the fish's gills? It could be, Susan.
If it's new.
You know, when was the last time?
Sorry, go on, Vince.
When was the last time you put clay in the pond? Is it something you do every couple of days, or is it something you do once a week?
It's long for me. The gills, a fish generally will shoot fast through water and break the surface, i.e., little jumps or just poking its head up at speed. Right, and what that does, if you imagine a pressure, like when you're doing a pressure washer, you've got that jet and you scrape it over. Basically, a fish will swim with its mouth open, gills open, and up, and that jet that comes through the gills basically helps flush them gills out. So what we see is when we get a new shipment in from Japan, okay, a lot of people are like, oh, the fish are up already. They're not up, right? What they'll do is they'll constantly up out the water. And if you watch closely, they actually blow all the crap out of their gills by doing that. It helps flush the gills out. So I don't think the clay would necessarily irritate the gills because it's generally a fish safe product. So I don't think it would. I might be wrong, but I don't think it would.
Vince, did you see Bill's question about this new treatment? And he's asking what you thought of it.
The fluke treatment.
I don't know what treatment he's on about.
It's supposed to be this new fluke treatment that kills all bacteria, all parasites and everything.
Have you got a name? What's it called?
Fluke something. It was Gaz took a picture of it on Thursday night, didn't he, Crafty?
I missed it. I haven't
remember what it is, mate.
It's no released for another 3 weeks or something yet.
But again, I think for everybody in the hobby, all four of us sat here, me as a dealer and a hobbyist, any new treatment that comes out, I think it's a little bit like the pond detox. I think, you know, it will come in, it will have potentially a different range of chemical in it, right? But it Fluke X, thank you, Lise. Right, it's gonna have a different build-up of chemicals. It's probably almost the same as the others, but they have different strengths of different things all the way through it because it's a worm that it's got a target. So it's potentially just another product that we can go to. I mean, I think there's 5 or 6 on the market now. All right, but again, people will have different results with different treatments. or they will prefer one treatment over another because they've had success. It's an option. For me, it's the cost. Fluke treatment is fucking expensive.
Yep.
Very expensive for what it is, you know. And when you got bigger ponds, that, you know, for those people with like 5,000 gallon ponds, 200 quid just to kill fluke. And it's not the most successful chemical that you put in your pond either.
Because it's not guaranteed to kill them first time round.
Well, Stuart's just said this new one goes down to 5 degrees.
Does it in 5 days?
5 degrees temperature.
So
Can be used down to 5 degrees.
That's good then, isn't it? You know, but I think time will tell with that. You know, when I think if it goes down to 5 degrees, I think it's the wrong time to launch it. Personally, you know what I mean? We're just coming into the warm period. I would have been releasing that towards the arse end of last year if it was available, you know.
And hence why I'm trying the PP route at the moment, and so far, touch wood, kept the flukes at bay. So
it's the best way, mate. It's the best way.
It's just they just don't like having a 3-day course in fucking PP.
But the truth is this, right, Vince? So so PP sometimes is hard to get in the shop. It's sometimes a really hard product to get your hand on to sell, right? So we've only just got a new batch in, and I think 250 grams is $24.99. But 250 grams is, I think it was 250, a huge amount of PP, huge amount, right? And actually, if you can hit your fluke with that, right, you only need to use 4,000 gallon, 15 grams I use, right? So if you can hit your parasite with that, you ain't got to fork out 100 quid.
How big's your pond?
My pond? No, I just like, so I just sort of backdoored what I use. So, it's 7.6 grams per 1,000 gallons. All right. Now that's a very watered down dose. Right. Every pond's different. Right. So for me, if you can get good at using PP and understanding how well your pond works with PP, then you will use PP more effectively every single time for less change out of your pocket. A lot less.
Just jump up the scale a bit, then you have to.
Sorry, distracted.
Just jump up the scale a bit. So if you're comfortable at the standard dose, go with that. Then next time you can jump up a little bit more till you hit your happy medium, and you know what's curing your pond.
Absolutely. The thing is, it's a knife edge where you get the fish to.
Yeah.
Right? It's the bit that always puts a horror show on for people that use PP because they're that worried. Like Matt said earlier,
Fuck it, it's gone round about.
Those FMG, you'd kill your fish. All right. Absolutely any treatment fluke treatment is extremely hard on fish, believe it or not, extremely hard. Right. And we're dosing every few, like there's so many different ways to do it that when you look on YouTube and the advice that's out there from dealers, from breeders, from other hobbyists, everyone has all tried different ways to defeat the pain in the arse fluke. All right. But PP, day one, all right, on a dosage that you can handle. Do not put hydrogen peroxide into your pond. All right. Your pond water will look like tea that's been left on the shelf for a week. Right, absolutely rank, right? But actually, that's
I know, Mark. I was just thinking to say, I'm sorry, Crafty. Mark Oxo's just put in. Can't dare tell you what I put in.
Yeah, that's so true. Right,
Mate, if you knew what I put in my 2,000 gallons,
if you do,
so easy to tell.
if you do follow what other people say, right, and you get it wrong, right, then there's an element of blame shifting. Oh, you told me to do that. You killed all my. Actually, start low, and like Scrag says, small increments. Next time you do it, see how your fish react. But once you've got it where you want it, don't hydrogen peroxide your pond, right? Because if you're going to do another PP treatment on day 2, right, you've actually already defeated some of that treatment, because hydrogen peroxide, like I said earlier, stays in the water for 3 days, right? And if you've already neutralized the PP that you put in the day before, well, what are you achieving? Fuck all, right? An extremely watered down dose, right? And it won't do anything, right? And these are the bits that people need to understand. So day 1 treatment, day 2 treatment. Personally, I don't do a day 3, but if that's what works for you, Vince, that's what works. I do 2 doses, and then if there's any flute remaining, I'll then do a single dose of flute treatment. Why? Day 1, what we do there is we target all of the biomass in that pond. So it will change from purple to brown, really, in my own personal pond, generally in 20 minutes, even with a powerful dose that I use. All right, I let that run through, absolutely no bother. Day 2, same dose, it will last an hour before there's any change. All right, and that purple part of the treatment is what I'm effectively hitting the fish with. All right, but the brown part is where you hit trick, and that's where people go wrong. If you're treating for trick, let that brown part of the treatment do the business, right? Because if you put hydrogen peroxide in at that point, you're pretty much weeing in the wind. So
We don't neutralise at all down on the farm.
No, you shouldn't. As long as you know it's there as an emergency, right? Yes, it brings your water back, and there's a reason for that. It's because it basically replaces what the PP strips out. Right, and that turns the water back to a nice gin clear looking pond, but you've still got hydrogen peroxide in the water. It's a clear chemical. But if, like day 2, once that's done, let it run through. When I'm using the dose I do, it sometimes will take around 4 to 5 days to fully go back to normal. But my God, does your water look good after you've done that? You know. So when you are starting to go, or if you choose to, or no one's telling you to, there's a disclaimer. If you do increase your dose slightly, all right, always have hydrogen peroxide ready. So if you do come into trouble, all right, another thing you should have is a bowl of water with air in it ready to go as well. So if you get one fish starting to look really rough, out straight into a fresh bowl of water that's dechlorinized with air in it, and you'll definitely do that fish a favor there. Right, and have a better chance of getting it back. I've killed fish on PP in my own personal pond. One fish, what you have to look at is in the gills. All right, if you've got gill fluke, all right, be mindful that you must put extra oxygen in. All right, because gill fluke and a powerful dose of PP that you normally have, that's a bad mixture and can pretty much actually end up killing your fish because of it. All right, so sorry, Vince, for waffling.
No.
Does hydrogen peroxide affect the fish?
Say that again.
Does hydrogen peroxide affect the fish? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, anything that's not supposed to go in a pond will affect the fish. They'll be thankful for it once you've got a powerful PP dose in there, because you're reoxygenating the water, basically. So you're putting the water back to how it should be. Okay. Without going into the too many scientific facts, because that's boring as fuck.
That's right. That's enough.
On someone's YouTube channel, they put hydrogen peroxide in their pond because they had string algae.
Yeah, I know. That's an old wives' tale, that one.
It's actually not. It's actually not, Vince. But if you understand how many different types of algae there are in the world, right, it has to be a certain type of algae that will knock back. That's the problem. And that's where there's that misinformation on YouTube.
Yeah, it's the same with PP. There's not enough information out there that isn't scaremongering as where PP is concerned.
Yeah,
and I think that's where a lot of the misconception comes across, because as soon as anyone mentioned, I mean, I don't go on them anymore, but back in the day, as soon as anyone mentioned PP on the forums, oh no, you shouldn't do that, kill your fish. And you know, there's so much scaremongering where PP is concerned, and I've been using it for donkey's years.
So hydrogen peroxide, again, I don't see enough people doing this as well. So if you've got an ulcer or an open wound on a fish, hydrogen peroxide can actually be used to clean that wound out, because it's a 3% bleaching agent, right? It actually be used, what's it called when you clean it out? I can't think. My head's not on straight today. But cauterizing the wound or something.
Yep.
It cleans the wound out, and it makes it a sterile environment. So when you do actually put treatment on, right, you've already put a good cleaner in it, you know. But believe it or not, it's used on a stronger dosage by medics to clean out wounds on people.
Yeah.
Hydrogen peroxide makes your Coy's hair go blonde. You know, and that's another use for it. You know, there's multiple uses for hydrogen peroxide, and again, I don't see anybody talking about that sort of thing either.
Yeah, hydrogen peroxide is also good for cleaning air stones as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like there's so much you can use things for, you know. And if I had hair, I'd have blonde hair because of it. But I've got too many fish, and like you, Vince, I'm grey. So,
mate, obviously, it's getting greyer by the day.
My missus said to me, "Fucking hell, Vince looks more and more like a goat every time I see him."
Yeah, man.
So I said, "You ought to see him."
Yeah, wait till I get some plaits in it.
Oh,
and a bead.
What?
And a bead.
Hey, I've actually managed to grow it to a point where I can not worry about fucking it up with the razor.
You've just jinxed yourself.
Yeah.
It'll be clean shaven tomorrow now.
You should grow a beard, mate.
I do in the winter, yeah.
No, but I think you could just have like a stubbly one, mate. I think you'd look gangster.
Yeah, thanks. No, I do in the winter.
Rob Fox here said, is there a new ulcer or wound treatment out there mentioned on the GKP? Ozone. Ozone gel's been around for quite a while. In fact, Matt from Koi Central, I think he was one of the first YouTubers to start using ozone gel on fish for treating.
It's actually a very good product. When you look into the breakdown of what that is, because I did, it actually contains, I can't remember what it's called now, but what do you treat bacteria with? I told you my head's not on tonight. Antibiotic. It's got an antibiotic inside it, in that actual gel as well. And the way that it's administered and reacts to the water, that's where that extra treatment comes in. But there's something else that people can do with PP in the same fashion of ozone gel. So Vaseline, we mentioned it earlier, Vince. It's got more than one use again. Right? With PP, you can mix a small mixture up, right? PP and Vaseline together, make a small paste, right? And with open wounds like ulcers and whatnot, you can actually push that into the wound, and the Vaseline will keep it there. All right. And that's another way of treating an ulcer that, again, costs you next to nothing.
Yeah, the thing is, crafted no real bad Vaseline. He was a tanky.
Yeah, that's right. And you, mate, don't start me off, mate, because we'll get into this game and stuff like that.
That's why he's not got any blisters, Vince.
Vince, look at Copey's message. Vince, look at Copey's message.
Copy. I'll tell you what, Copy.
No, if you just read Copey's message, mate, that's mint.
Oh, mate, I was helping Mum during the week empty the loft out, and would you believe she's kept hold of my old black and white portable TV?
That won't even work now. There's no analog signal, is there?
No, I don't. But yeah,
That's a shame, man. I remember having one of them with a wire coat hanger poked in the back.
mate, it's got the old dial on it as well with the numbers.
You know what's really mad though, mate? We've got phones bigger than tellies now. Back in the day.
Yep. Yeah. But yeah, I couldn't believe it. I was like, what the fuck's that do? She what? She just kept my old fucking TV. That was my 14th birthday present, that was.
I remember watching it 25/7 every morning, episode of Flintstones, mate, before it's time to get up for school.
Yeah.
Wrap it on the side to make the picture stop rolling.
And the old headphone jack in the front as well.
Yeah, all of that, mate.
Mate, it just blew me back. It was like, nah.
I'm surprised you ain't got one in the spaceship loft.
Well, my son said, why are you keeping it if it ain't going to work? Why not?
You never know. Never know. There may be an apocalypse one day.
Vince, look at Susan's comment.
Oh.
How do you know?
There's always one that's absolutely car, isn't there? Usually it's Andrew Morrill.
I'll tell you what, Suzanne.
Make a good filter start.
On YouTube, Suzanne watches every single YouTube.
She does indeed. She does indeed. And she comments on pretty much every YouTuber as well. So keep it going, girl. What's Rob saying? I'd hate to see what sort of
It's actually true. It will kill fungus in your nails. It will heal athlete's foot. But the problem is that you end up, if you keep your feet in it, with feet that look like they belong to somebody else for a few weeks after, because it goes just. I'll just wee on your feet.
End up with a Turkish tan.
That's a squatty thing, isn't it?
Wee on your feet.
That's a squatty thing, isn't it, Crafty?
Mm. It is, mate. It's like you have to self-medicate, don't you?
Yeah.
Oh,
There's
yes.
another one. I ain't going to go into it, though. It's not for YouTube. It works a treat. That's a sure thing. What's your plans then, Vince? Have you sorted out? Have you sorted your fish out for June? Do you know? Have you got your eye on anything yet?
I've got, I would say, 60% idea of exactly what I'm taking.
Have you given any clues away yet?
No.
Okay, good. Keep them close to your chest.
Well, the only thing I have said is that I am definitely taking back 5 out of the 6 that took rosettes last year.
Good.
And the only reason I'm not taking 1 is because 2 weeks after coming back from national, went from a kicker serie and started throwing out fucking sumi. So it's now Deutsche Amateur Nischke. But until the sumi's finished doing what it's going to do, no point taking it anywhere now.
We had some quite highly stressed fish after the show. It took a few months to get them back round.
Mine came over and back in the pond, and it was as if they'd never been away.
Yeah.
I was fucking over the moon.
Yeah, they can. It was more the Nisai that some of the Nisai, one of the Deutz Sankey that we had, really lovely Yamachu fish, just stressed forever, lost all its colour. Now it's got a little tiny bit of Benny and a little tiny bit of Sumi left on it. Totally unsellable. Someone will love it at some point.
Are you getting a shipment in, Crafty, for the koi show, or are you just doing what you've got in stock?
No, I'll take. So my plan is what don't go on the growing show tomorrow. Them fish will be put back on heat and grown because there's a lot of really good sellable fish there for £95. I'll probably keep them around that sort of price as well. And if there's people out there that don't see the qualities I see, which I really hope, a few of them will be separated and sold for a lot more as well, because there's some really nice fish in there that have got potential if people can see that. So I'm not going to be giving many winks because I'm hoping they don't take them, if I'm personally honest, because a couple may even grace my own pond. But yeah,
right. If I can stop you there a second, Crafty.
Say again, mate.
Now, if I can stop you there a second. Subject came up today on the Growing Show group about the Growing Show, and the question on the group was, who is Odakan? And as far as I'm aware, what I said was Odakan isn't actually a breeder, is he? He's more of a dealer.
He does both. Okay, so he's a bit of a powerhouse in the northern part of Japan, where actually, if you understand number one koi, Narita that owns number one koi, he is the swinging of the koi world in Japan. Odakan is a multi-millionaire that literally smokes lots of fags and drinks lots of lemon sours. But my God, he understands fish really, really, really well. So he buys in a lot of. So when he turns up at people's fish houses, right, he will get really good fish because they know who he is in Japan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Although I find it a little bit weird how the operation works personally, because you've got someone that is a Japanese dealer come and buy from another breeder to then sell them fish to who is potentially your customer anyway, but he will sell them for more money than he's bought them off of you for because they're such good quality. But yeah, he is a dealer, but he also dabbles in breeding as well.
Yes, he is more of the dealer in that.
Yeah, more sort of 80-20 sort of. He'll do. So the fish that I got are actually Odakan's own spawn. And when you see them tomorrow, Vince, for such small fish, my videos and whatnot haven't really done them justice.
Videos never do that, mate.
Say again.
Photos and videos never do that.
They don't. When you see them tomorrow, the body shapes on some of them fish are just fucking insane, mate. All right, and I only bought them at 8cm fish.
Yeah.
But once we got them through quarantine, and then I've had my hands tied a little bit by costs actually, because electricity costs rocketed. So I actually didn't grow them as much as I wanted to in an environment keeping them at 24 degrees.
Yeah.
So I only hit them in the last 4 weeks. and the difference that 4 weeks made to them fish was insane. Saki Akari growth 75, colour 25%. Then we got it. Then they was looking really good, and then we had a little bit of a turn. Found Costia, hit Costia, and then they got fluke. So they got the PP treatment, not a fluke treatment, for 2 reasons. If I could hit the fluke with PP and combat it because we caught it early, then actually that also strips a layer of mucus off and makes that look
quite unusual having Costia before flukes, so usually Costia after flukes.
Yeah, I know, mate. So that's what I was really quite dumbstruck about. The problem we got is where we got so many ponds so close to each other, and we have such a high footfall come through there, Vince. You know, when we're netting, sometimes the net falls into the pond next to it, or an air stone gets put into the wrong pond, and you know that biosecurity
charging up to the front, splashing water over.
But then you've got the kids, mate, and I swear you need eyes in your head, in your feet, up your ass, round the corner, you know, and it don't matter how many signs you've got. Don't touch the fish or don't put your hands in the water. People, and it doesn't take long for one problem to reach another problem, another. And that's a problem you have as a dealer, you know. But what do? Do you have 10 foot between every pond? You'd only have 5 ponds for sale, wouldn't you? You know, so you have to combat that constantly. But I nearly stopped the growing show because I wasn't sure they'd be in good enough condition based on the parasite issue. But actually, we've come through. I sorted through, and I took some of the ones that there's 230 fish in total. Some of the fish from being in that environment, because I haven't separated them out, they've all stayed in the tank, they've all been fed. You've got some that are around 24 cm, 25 cm, and some that are 10 cm, right? And that's if I was able to have the luxury of splitting them even more, we would have got even better growth on them. But it defeats the object to an extent. So you're going to see some really good fish from Odakan. Odakan being a powerhouse in northern Japan, right? So to go back to your question, George, I have bought some fish from Odakan for the national. The ones that don't sell on the grow and show tomorrow will be separated and put on heat as well to go with the fish that I've got from Odakan coming to make a really good vat, because Odakan's coming over for the national and he will be frequenting our stand as well, because there's a couple of guys that buy from him that he wants to support. So you know, it would be right to put a good vat of fish on from Odakan himself. And I've got a really good him to go on it.
We came around, me and the doc came around your pitch twice last year, but couldn't get anywhere near it at all. Couldn't even get in to see the fish. It was mobbed.
He went through little phases. I mean, the show scene's really difficult as a dealer, from the fact that you've got he's actually squeaky bum. It's the same when you show, all right? It's a squeaky bum time for your own fish. It's a squeaky bum time for taking so many valuable fish from your stock to a show to sell, and then what don't sell you then got to take back. So there's quite a lot to take into account. We don't get trickle in and out systems like the show guys get.
No.
Right? We're responsible for our own well-being of our own fish. So 2 or 3 water changes a day. We salt our water because it helps the fish cope with having unfiltered water. But before we go, I select my stock or a selection of fish, and they get taken off of sale and they get taken off of food, right? Because there's no filtration. So the worst thing you can do is carry on feeding your fish and then put them into a vat that has got no filtration to take that mess away. And not only that, but then you've got the ammonia that you don't see building up, and that's where you then start having poor water quality. You then start getting stressed out fish, and the fish then start to look crap as well. So you have to do all of that, as well as making sure that you're servicing people, that you've got all the equipment, you've got the air, you've got the bags, you've got the boxes, you've got all the equipment out, you've got the right pricing. You're then worried what next bloke up's selling his fish for and what his dry stock's going, because we're in business, it's a battle. It's a battle to take trade, right? And there's what's good about it is that not only do people come to see the fish that get put on exhibit, some wow fish, or to come and see the YouTubers as well, because I think that they take they get quite a lot. They pull a lot of people in, and it's always nice for. If I'm honest,
Have you never thought of having some kind of airlift type filtration on your vats? I know Mark at Cuttlebrook, he has his own home built airlift filters in his vats at the All England, and I know is it Clark Co? They have plastic vats with filters.
For me, the filters, right? If you prep your fish early enough, and they're going to be in good condition, right? In order to get a filter that is a filter, not just a mechanical filter, but all of that, you've got to seed that filter. You've got to keep that bacteria alive, and you've got to do all that months in advance, when actually you don't necessarily need it. And you've got such a small power supply there, you only get a couple of plug sockets, and then only takes one dealer to trip everything out, and it puts everyone's livestock at risk. So for me, the less electrical equipment that you take by having good preparation, the better, because you run less risk. That's what I'm not saying it's the right or the wrong way. Everyone's got different ways, but in my head,
I think that's why Mark at Cuttlebrook uses an airlift system filter, because all of that's have an air stone in them anyway.
There's a bloke that I want to speak to this year. If you have a look at, don't mind if I plug my channel, Vince. No. If you have a look on my website, my YouTube channel, Crafty Koi, at the Northeast Koi Show, there is a guy that has actually got a really decent filtration system that also stops all of the water disturbance. So it's literally flat calm in there, and it's in a show vat, his own vat, and it makes everything the viewing so much better. There's nothing worse than going around the koi show and you've got the air bubbles that you need, right? There's no getting away from that. But if you've got this, I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but this device that sits in the middle that still oxygenates the water. It creates an uplift filter through I can't think what the fucking media is now.
There's something like that in the Scottish Koi Show as well. It's like 3D printed. It's like a rectangular thing. The air stone's in the middle.
That's it. You got it right. But it's brilliant.
It's a guy from Will. I think it's Willie Boland at the Scottish Koi Show. He's got the.
They're outstanding.
I know how to visit, man.
I want them for my vats when I take my stock up, because there's nothing worse than constantly taking the air stone out, putting it back in and out, back in, right? To see the fish, because actually I'd rather a constant air source be going through that water, right, rather than constantly changing what is already a stressful time for the fish.
I know he's competing at the national. He's coming down from Scotland, so I don't know if it's worth trying to catch up with him, because he gets them 3D printed.
That's right. Yeah,
the vats.
It's like a square shape, like the top of it's like this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's about 12 inches tall.
Yeah, 12 inches. Yeah. That's what I say anyway. But yeah, I've a look on the video, and it's when I have a walk around the vats, it's towards the end of that, where you'll see it actually in play. There's no, because let's face it, when you go around the vats and you've got the air up, sometimes the fish can sit in that air and you actually don't get to see the fish. It's a pain in the arse, and that, but it's required because obviously the first thing that comes into account is your fish health, right? It's got to be there. Okay,
Yeah.
so it is what it is, you know, and we all learn to live through it. But if you could still have that and keep the water surface looking pristinely flat, and still have the same advantage of having an air stone in there and having a better viewing pleasure, you know, for me, I think it's a no-brainer. I think it's something that should be introduced personally. There'll be people out there that disagree with me because it's something else for the fish to knock into, for example. You know?
Yeah, but ultimately, if you've got a filtration on it that's been matured pre-show, then surely that is better for the fish in the long run, as in terms of less stress, than just being chucked in a vat with an air stone. Can you see what I mean?
Yeah, but if you manage your water, Vince, if you manage your water properly, so we use ammonia binders, all right. Not that there's a lot of ammonia kicking around, all right. Salt, all right. They're in a vat of perfectly healthy water, and as long as you manage the water, right, and that's what it comes down to, your fish will be okay. They'll be fine. You know, you got to remember when I come over from Japan, mate, you get like 150 in a bag with that much water, right? And they're in that for 48 hours. Well, if you're doing 2 or 3 water changes a day, right, you're still keeping that environment good for them, right? If you've got filtration system in there, yeah, it's better. You keep, but it's got to be so seeded in order to be effective that, you know, it's something else. You've got to take that filter from your shop up to there, and again, it's moving the water from your shop up to there, and there's a huge amount. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
For me, I'm happy managing my water to keep the fish healthy.
Yeah, because I know the Park Code, the All England, they actually use plastic like Dolabs, don't they, with a filter in the corner, so that
I've seen all sorts, you know, and again, it's down to the personal preference of the person that's doing it. It's, you know, ease of use. Me, I mean, I'm fairly new as a dealer, as you know, Vince. All right, so I'm still learning. But from doing, I don't know how many shows I've done now, 4, 5. All right, it's actually really easy. You know, I've got something that I understand. I know I ain't got to worry about something working, not working. The only thing I have to worry about is a bloody air pump failing. But
yeah,
I'll get around that. You run 2 air pumps, but you run 2 air stones to a pond, 1 from each pump. So if one goes down, you still got oxygen going in on the other one, for example. You know, so you put them sort of fail safes in place.
So something that's just popped into my head now. So would you consider using your complete pond detox?
No.
While you're at the show?
Can't, mate, because it clouds the water.
Right.
So you know it won't do that. You know, there's no reason to do it.
No, I was just something.
No. I know what you're saying. If it didn't cloud the water up, Vince, absolutely. But part of the application of that, it's a clay. It clouds the water up.
See, I haven't found that with the PDF one.
It definitely clouds ours
that
up.
One, yeah, actually, that one, it tells you it comes out on the surface of the water, and then just let it. Literally, it dissolves, and don't get any clouding with it, which is why I asked.
But you've got to remember, they're two different products.
Yeah.
So they'll do. I personally think that detox is a step up from the detox that Lincolnshire, and we sell both. I think it's like a version 2 of that product, if you know what I mean, because
Right.
they're very similar in what they do, but it's just a newer formula. A bit like the flute treatment, we've got a new formula out. It works in lower temperatures, like Blanket Answer. They've just released an all-season Blanket Answer this year, right, which works really low temperatures, which is the new formula that will become the standard. So it'll be the only one available. So it's like version 2, basically.
Blanket we don't always ever go at one. That's globally.
Yeah, that's the one I'm
Fish.
on about, mate. But again, mate, it's like it doesn't work in everyone's pond. Weirdly, for me, it's the right. I've got blanket. There you go.
Yeah.
Shit it on the shelf for a reason, you know. But EA sell it. You know, there's loads of people. Colombo sell their version of it. It all does the
Cockney
same.
Koi do one.
I don't do Cockney Koi.
Aqua Resolve I use.
You
I find that pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's loads on the market. It's just what works for you, isn't it? For me,
Yeah.
there is Blanket Answer, 100%.
But then again, like you say, every pond is different and every pond makeup is different. And, you know, you might use Blanket Answer, which I think is the nuclear version, and absolutely nothing happened. And then you go and try cheap Cockney Koi one and it works a charm.
Yeah.
It's that
It's what works in your pond, isn't it?
it's that roundabout syndrome, isn't it? You go back to where you started again.
100 litres of K1 from 55 gallon drum. I don't know, mate. If I'm off the top of my head, I'll probably go with a 95 litres an hour.
How many litres is a fucking big wheelie bin?
I can't remember. Well, mate, I don't know off the top of my head.
250.
I'll have a
And
look.
what's that in gallons? 250, what's that in gallons?
Pass. 240 litres in a standard bin.
And what's that? 250 litres in gallons?
Too late, man, in the day for maths.
Mate, I'm no good with maths anyway, so I'm asking.
UK gallons, please. So 4.5 litres to a gallon. So it's 45 litres. 45 times 45, whatever that is.
Well, no, if it's 55.
What's 45 times 45? 2,000.
So for a 55,000 moving bed,
Convert. How many litres did I say it was? 45.
250 litres divided by 45, isn't it? Not 45 gallons.
Yeah, there you go.
so a big wheelie bin is about 10 gallons less than what she's going to use. And
So it's 50
I've
gallons.
known 40 litre a minute air pumps churning over a wheelie bin full of plastic media.
Yeah, if you've only got 100 litres in there, though, you probably put a bit more than that. To be fair, in that, start with 100 litres. What you really need to do, start with 100 litres, let that mature, let that tumble,
Well,
another 50 litres. As long as you get that nice, it's sad, isn't it? Because you'll get drawn into it when it turns over. It's amazing, isn't it?
I've got a 200 litre water garden drum, and I started off with 25 litres, and I'm now up to 50 on a EA 70, just tumbling it over, no bother.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all right. It's when you start going 150, 200 litres, you really need to step up the pressure. In order
I want to eventually, get up to about 100 litres in there.
The more moving bed media you can put in, the better it is for your pond. Period.
Yeah.
Period. That's the main part of your filtration, in my opinion. You know, mechanical, obviously, but the beneficial bacteria is what you need in order to keep your water good.
Yeah. And
patience plays a big part as well, because I went OTT and lamped all the LX13 in my new filter. Big mistake. I had to take some out because it was taking forever to tumble. I took it out and it's come up leaps and bounds now. And now I can start drip feeding the rest in to get back up to the 200 litres.
You can actually like sit it in your pond in a net bag while you're doing your moving bed.
Yeah.
Right? Wash it out and then put it into your moving bed. Right, the beneficial bacteria will still grow on it.
Yeah.
And it'll help it seed and then mature quicker in your moving bed afterwards. So you can still do whether you want a big bag of floating plastic in your pond or not.
I've done that while I was waiting to swap the filters over, but as I say, I lamped it all in and I was struggling. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to take some out, and I took 50 litres out, and it tumbled a lot quicker and matured a lot quicker.
Dino's in there. I like the fact he called me a sausage.
Dino laughed.
Sausage,
fucking.
that's the question.
You're fucking having it.
Right, guys, I'm going to call it a night. Thank you for your inviting, Vince. I appreciate that.
Well, I'm going to knock it on the head anyway, because, like I say, I'm going to have to be up early in the morning, and I will see you tomorrow in Crafty.
Ring walks on, isn't it?
I would like to say a massive thank you to everyone that joined along this evening. Big shout to my man Chris Stubbs from Stubbs Aquatics. He's shot off because he's off to watch the ice hockey. Fuck knows why.
On tonight, isn't it?
Yeah, ring walks on now.
Is it? What channel is it on, Scrags?
It's on the dodgy box, I don't know.
It's on the
Next door telly.
You can tell he's a fucking normal, can't you?
Fucking Shelters, man, I tell you. You need a big wig on and a tash, mate. That's what you need to do. Calm down.
So, yeah, I'd like to say a massive thank you to Chris Stubbs from Stubbs Aquatics, Matt from Howie Coy, Dorset, Scrag from Scrag 68, Big George from Lowman Coy. He hasn't even put it up on their Crafty Koi. Anthony Day from Crafty Koi, also known Perfectly Craigs. As always, guys and girls, don't forget, like, share, subscribe. Copy, you bastard. Other Twisted Koi. You know you're great. And we will see you with a video tomorrow, guys. Take it easy.